I shall talk to you later, Susan. Thanks very much. Also coming up, the British speed skater Elise Christie speaks out about her struggle with anxiety and depression after a disappointment at the Sochi and Pyeongchang Winter Olympics.
I feel like myself for the first time in about, I said I was on medication for 2 years, but it was probably around 4 years that I've not really felt like me.
Hello everyone, this is Afternoon Live. I'm Simon McCoy. It's been called the worst treatment scandal in the history of the NHS. And today a public inquiry is beginning into how thousands of haemophiliacs were infected with hepatitis C and HIV during NHS treatment in the 1970s and 80s. This report from Richard Lister.
When they told me what they'd done to me, I stood at a motorway bridge to jump off it.
I feel we've been treated very badly. Nobody's listened to us over the years.
Successive governments have failed to live up to their responsibility of what they've done to us, of what they've done to my family, and what they've done to my life.
Just some of the victims of the biggest medical disaster in NHS history, telling their stories on video at the start of the inquiry last year. Now it begins its next phase, to understand the impact of this tragedy and how it happened.
Although it will never be possible to hear orally from everyone who would wish to be heard, those affected and infected will come first and last in the inquiry.
In the 1970s and 80s, the NHS imported blood products from the United States. Some were made with donated blood from prisoners and even drug addicts at high risk of carrying viruses. No one knows how many patients the NHS treated with infected blood. Estimates suggest around 5,000 were treated for haemophilia and other diseases, but there could be as many as 30,000 others who received blood transfusions contaminated with hepatitis and HIV.
I do solemnly, sincerely.
Derek Martindale was the first to give evidence today. He recalled finding out he'd been infected with HIV at the age of 23.
I went at lunchtime to get the results, and I was told that I was HIV positive. I was told I had about a year to live. I was told not to tell anybody, including my family and my parents.
The inquiry team has scanned the country for official files. There are millions of documents to be reviewed in the search for answers. Not least to the question, was there a cover-up?
Documents have been destroyed, we know that for certain, and so there's a question of how much we'll be able to reveal. But for the first time, this inquiry actually has teeth. It's a statutory inquiry. We'll be able to summons witnesses and compel people to produce evidence, which is hugely important.
The road to justice has been a long one. Those affected have been demanding this inquiry for decades, and it's likely to take several years to complete. The campaigners say another victim dies from infected blood every 4 days. Richard Lister, BBC News.
As we heard in that report, we heard from Derek Martindale, who was given contaminated blood in the 1980s. This is a bit more of what he had to say.
It's a bit of a oxymoron in the sense that when you're young, you're invincible. When you're 23, life, you're generally fit, often leads. But then you're told you have 12 months to live. It's very hard to comprehend that. So there was the fear. It became more and more prominent in the media, and the government health warnings that AIDS was a killer, and we're all going to die. Again, this is the confidence of youth that can't believe this is going to happen to me.
You've mentioned your brother Richard, he was also infected with HIV.
Yes.
Again, as a direct result of the treatment with infected blood products you've been given for his haemophilia.
Yes. It's one of those things that I've always wondered, being genetically very similar, why why things went the way they did. And, but he became ill. Things didn't work out for him. And he died in 1990.
As a direct result of HIV having developed into AIDS.
Yes.
I think you feel in part you're here to give evidence for Richard.
For Richard and for everybody else, he doesn't have a voice anymore. He knew he was dying. He knew he had AIDS. And that he didn't have long to live. And he just wanted to talk. He wanted to talk about this. Talk about his fears, how scared he was. But I couldn't. It was too close to home for me. And I wasn't there for him. I wasn't there for him. And 3 months later, he died. Biggest regret of my life because he's gone and I can't do anything to make amends for that.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'm honoured to be here today. One thing, it is about, it's good that this is happening now. Because all the things may have changed over the past 30 years or so. HIV, Hep C, is still a stigma associated with it, even today. And I think society needs to move on from that.
We spoke to somebody else who was given a contaminated blood transfusion by the NHS when he was just 5 years old. Andy, very good of you to join us. This has been a hugely emotional day for everybody. It certainly has, and it's been a day 30 years in the making, Simon. It's been such a roller coaster ride since the inquiry was announced, and I think today I've been speaking to lots of people here, and it's just hit them like a juggernaut. Hearing, as you've just heard, Derek speaking there, brings it all home to everybody how absolutely serious this is. Looking at you now, looking healthy, and yet the prognosis at the time when you were diagnosed was anything but. Yeah, as you mentioned, I was infected when I was 5 years old. We both hepatitis B and C, and also HIV. My parents told me when I was 12 that I had HIV, and I was diagnosed as having full-blown AIDS when I was 16. And at that time, there were no medications available apart from AZT. Derek mentioned AZT in his testimony this morning. It's a juggernaut treatment, is the way that he put it, and it absolutely was. And I have no doubt that for me and for a lot of other people, it pushed us over the edge into full-blown AIDS. And as I say, at that time, there were no treatments available whatsoever apart from that one drug. And so it was a waiting game to die. And for 4 years, I struggled in and out of hospital, waiting to die from AIDS. And Andy, at the time, those of us who were around, there was a stigma around as well, around AIDS. So apart from the physical problems you were dealing with, there was that as well. Absolutely. It was a time of, the government publicised adverts with the falling gravestones, do not die of ignorance. AIDS was plastered everywhere. It was a dirty disease. It was associated with what were then classed as not nice behaviours. And so people were frightened of AIDS, and people were frightened of people who had AIDS. And so there was no telling anybody. This was something we had to keep completely to ourselves. I was lucky in that I was quite young, if you can put it that way, when I was infected. I could talk to my parents about it because they already knew. People who were diagnosed when they were older were warned to keep it away from everybody, including their family and their parents. And they had nobody to talk to about it. I'll be honest with you, there were several people my age watching some of the testimony this morning, and they were close to tears. I'm just wondering what you hope this will achieve. This could be a 2-year inquiry, but what would you judge a success to be of it?
As I say, this has been coming for a long time now. I've asked a lot of people what they want to come out at the end of this inquiry, what they would like to happen at the end of this scandal. And I think the word closure comes up a lot. I think the word truth comes up a lot, and the word justice comes up a lot. And I think those are the three elements that people are searching for. We need the absolute truth as to what happened before anybody can try to put this behind them. If they've lost loved ones, it's too late. For those of us who are still alive, we need to have that closure before we can actually move on with the rest of our lives. So that's part of it. In other countries, where this scandal has been prevalent, people have gone to prison for their roles in this, but nothing has happened in this country. So I think for us campaigners, people who've been at it for a long time, vindication for having gone on about this for so long is a very important part of it as well.
You have spent by far the
left behind.
Sorry, Andy. I just want to say you've spent most of your life not expecting to live this long, not expecting to see this day happen, and yet you seem remarkably calm. You must be angry.
I'm angry when I hear the stories of people like Derek this morning. I'm angry when I hear the stories of people I speak to as chair of a large campaign group. For myself, I think I've come to terms with the fact that this has happened. What I do get angry about is the way that we've been treated over the last 30 years since it's happened. There was a chance for the government to make amends back in the day. They could have held their hands up and said, we made a mistake. Instead, it's been pushed into the long grass, it's been swept under the carpet for 30 years until they were backed into a corner recently and announced this public inquiry. That's what makes me the most angry about all of this.
Very quickly, what's your prognosis now?